Kim, I'm going to go ahead and mute until I get the okay from you to start.
Okay, I got the okay for us to start. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Thank you. And welcome everyone to our November Advancement and Development Subcommittee meeting. And thank you all so much for being here. And I hope everyone had a restful week last week with a day off in honor of our veterans. So thank you to all of our service members across the state of North Carolina, and also those who are in our classrooms and working at the Department of Public Instruction. In our work for this week, or this month, this is going to be our last meeting this year where we're going to be working together on the competencies and on the work that we've been undertaking for the past several months. Our meeting in December, we will have a subcommittee meeting in December, but that's going to be focused around a better understanding of micro-credentials and how micro-credentials could be part of the Human Capital Roundtable's vision of how we can work with our licensure structure to rethink the way that we license teachers in our state. So the first thing we need to do is to approve our agenda. Kim did send out a copy of the agenda in the meeting minutes from the last month's meeting a few weeks ago. So if I could please get someone to unmute and make a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved, Dr. Monroe, Halifax County Schools.
Thank you, Dr. Monroe. And then if I could get someone to second.
Second, Nancy Rupert, UNCA.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries and the agenda is approved. And then if I could get a second or a motion to approve our minutes from our October meeting.
So moved, Gregory Monroe.
Thank you. And a second? If I could just get someone to
Nancy
second.
Rupert, Nancy, UNCA, second.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries and the minutes from the October meeting have been approved as submitted. Thank you. All right, now today we're going to be continuing to work on our mission to develop this really comprehensive list of competencies that we will be able to use to, as we move forward in the work and begin working with DPI to kind of formalize our recommendations to Pepsi and then onto the state board. The past several meetings, we've really kind of honed down on what are the different competencies we think you need at different levels. And in the last meeting, we heard a lot of discussion about really wanting to organize them in a way that makes sense. So really looking at where do they organize in strands or in categories, and where do we see progression from a level 2 teacher to a level 3 teacher, then level 3 to level 4. So Kim, if you could please share the Open Me First document. Kim is going to share a document that's going to be in the folders that you'll be using in your work today. And I know that a lot of times as we move into these breakout groups, it can be a little bit confusing what we're asking you to do. And so I made a document that when you are placed into your breakout groups and you open up your shared folders in the Google Drive, you're going to see the Open Me First document that's got some details on it of what we're really going to be working on and what kind of our goal is as we move out of our meeting today. So in the last meeting, there was some really great discussion about some of the ways that we could phrase or maybe kind of like look at where you would be in each level. And coming out of the group I was in, Patricia had some really fantastic ideas with, level 2 is really that you're aware. Level 3 is that you are demonstrating. Level 4 is that you're consistently demonstrating. Level 5 is that you are level 4 is that you're highly effectively demonstrating. Level 5 is that you're highly effectively demonstrating and maybe beginning to do some modeling for others. And then level 6 is where you are modeling and coaching and teaching your colleagues how to effectively implement whatever that demonstrated skill or competency is. And so as we begin our work today, I'd like you to kind of keep that phraseology in mind. And You have it both on this document that will be the Open Me First document that kind of overviews what we're going to be doing and kind of gives you some guidance on what we're asking you to do. You will also see it on the top of the spreadsheet you're going to open today. I put it there as well, just as a reminder of what you are going to be doing. Now, the first thing we want you to do as you move into your breakout groups is to brainstorm for about 10 minutes. The ideas that your group has about what would be the buckets or what would be the categories or what would be the strands that you would expect teachers to be able to have skills in. So like, for instance, like classroom management, effective lesson design and implementation, communication skills. Those would be things that we would expect our teachers to be able to accurately and fully be able to do, but at varying stages as they move through levels 2 through level 6. So the first thing we want you to do is kind of think about what would be those buckets or those categories that your group thinks. On the spreadsheet you're going to be working on today, I did preload 5 spaces where you can input your categories. If you have 7, 8, 10, that's fine. Just add the tabs at the end of your spreadsheet. After you've kind of decided on your categories, and please only spend about 10 minutes on that so you don't get kind of like caught in trying to figure out the categories. If you need to go back and modify those or change those as you're working through the work today, that is not a problem. It's just kind of a way to kind of get you centered and kind of get you all on the same page as you begin your work. As you move into the actual work for today, what we're going to ask you to do is to open up the spreadsheet from last month, and that's going to be in your folder. So like, let's say you are group 1. When you open up the folder for group 1, you will have 3 documents in there. You have a copy of the spreadsheet that group 1 worked on last month. I do realize that most of you will not be using the same spreadsheet that you used last month, and that's okay. I think that's a better way for us to get a really good flow of ideas and help us really kind of come up with some of the best competencies and best skills by using some of the words that other people have said, or maybe looking at some of the notes that other people have said. It may help you reframe or rethink something in a way that you hadn't considered before. So group 1 will open up the spreadsheet with all the competencies and skills from last month. You're going to also open up the spreadsheet for this month, which says group 1 A&D November spreadsheet. In your November spreadsheet, what you're going to do is, like, let's say you said that lesson design was something that your group thinks is one of the buckets or categories that teachers should have competencies in. You will go through the level 2 and you will find all of the things that would fall under lesson design, and you're going to copy them onto your new spreadsheet on your lesson design tab. Now, as I move into level 3, I will also need to be able to have effective lesson design. And so because of that, I will then find the level 3 lesson design, and I will carry that over and I'll put it in the column that's right next to my lesson 2 lesson design. So that way we can kind of see that natural progression of that skill or competency as it moves vertically from a level 2 teacher to a level 6 teacher. Now, there may be some that don't have a competency that is closely related for each one, and that's okay. If your group wants to add one, you can. If your group wants to highlight that this is a gap that we think we need to fill, but we're not sure how to fill it, you can put that. We also put a column there for you to be able to give us some ideas on ways that you think maybe that could be measured or that could be demonstrated. And remember, we're always looking at, can it be measured, and can it be, is it impacting students in a positive way? So kind of keep that in mind in those ways that you're thinking about demonstrating and measuring. And then you're going to, after you finish all of your things that you found for your lesson design, then you're going to move on to your next tab, which might be, let's say, classroom management. So you're going to find all of those skills and competencies that would fall under classroom management. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense, and I do have it on that Open Me First as well to kind of step you through what we're asking you to do. And please, 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 if you think something needs to be completely rewritten, if you think something needs to be changed, if you think there's something missing, if you want to add, delete, remove, modify, whatever you want to do, this is a living, working document, and we are trying to develop a brand new system of licensing teachers. And so there are probably going to be some things that your group will identify as you start to look at these in this vertical alignment and identifying those links between each one of the license levels and identifying where the different skills will fall, there's probably going to be some gaps that your group is going to identify. Please feel free to change anything, modify anything, whatever it is that you need to do to make this the best product coming out from you, please do that. And remember, this is really the last time we will be working together on this, so it's really, really important that we are getting your best product coming out from this. All right, is there anybody that has any questions about what we're asking you to do for this month, or kind of where the work will be centered as we work through the breakout group this month? Okay, well, as we start to move into the breakout groups, if once you get in there, you do have any questions about what you need to do or how you're supposed to proceed, just let Kim know, and either she can answer or I can pop in and kind of walk your group through what it is that you need to do, okay? So we will definitely get in there and help you out if you need any assistance with anything. So we are going to have about 50 minutes in this breakout group. And again, please remember about 10 minutes at the beginning only on kind of determining your buckets or your categories. And then use your other remaining 40 minutes to really kind of work on organizing those skills. And you do have 50 minutes, so you are going to have to work pretty quickly. If you want to put notes off to the side, there is a column for notes too. So there's something like this needs to be completely reworked, but we're not sure how to rewrite it. Put that in the notes, and then that way we can go back and look at that when we review all the different materials that you guys have produced as part of this process. All right, so Kim, if we don't have any questions, if you want to go ahead and put us into the breakout groups.
Sure, I added the Google link to Maureen.
Oh, perfect, thank you. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So Kim put the Google link in the chat window there for you, so you can click on Google link, and then whichever group you get put in, just open the corresponding folder, please.
And there's 3 groups of 3 and 1 group of 4. So there's no 5th group.
Yeah, I put the group 5 there because I wasn't sure how many people would make it today. So that's no problem at all. Perfect.
Hello, is anyone still in here?
Hi there, Jennifer.
Hey, I had to go out and come back in. My audio wasn't working. Can you put me back in group 3?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so Kim, I think we have everybody back.
Yes, we do.
Great. Okay. Well, I hope you guys got a lot of really good work done in that breakout session. I know it was still probably more work than you were able to actually get through, but did anyone have any key takeaways that you really wanted to share with the whole group? Like your number one thing that your group kind of like centered around. So if you could tell us your number one thing that you're walking away from today's work with your group, kind of the discussion you had, something that you felt very passionate about, or something that you really felt was very important to share with the whole group, just your one key takeaway. And we can start with group one. And Dr. Tomberlin, since you were our note taker, if you want to share, I'd be happy to throw the mic over to you, or if not, I'd be happy to share as well.
Oh, I don't mind. So am I showing folks this? Would that be the easiest way, or just talk about it? I'll just talk about it.
You just talk about just our one key takeaway, but if you want to share your screen and show it, you could as well.
No, that's fine. So we started taking those competencies and breaking them out into some larger themes. So we came up with the large themes we came up with were positive student-teacher interaction, communication skills, lesson design, implementation, and remediation, formative and summative assessment data use, systematically supporting students, instructional leadership, and then we kind of had depth of content knowledge, pedagogical skill, kind of as holders in case we felt like that didn't get addressed sufficiently in those bigger buckets. And then we went and started taking those skills that were on the list and putting them in the areas that we felt it applied to. So we had things like the teacher understands that students should be treated in ways that are kind, respectful, fair, and productive. We try to keep these in the awareness level. Teacher acknowledges differences in and the value of students' unique perspectives and points of view, et cetera. So just kind of placing those competencies in those bigger buckets and trying to modify the language so that it was following that pattern of aware, demonstrate, effectively demonstrates, or highly effectively demonstrates. And is that a sufficient report out, or did you want me to talk more about the skills we put in those categories?
No, that is perfect. That's exactly what we were looking for. And so group two, if you'd like to kind of do something similar where you give us kind of your big one takeaway or like a high level overview of the work you did and any like ahas or anything that you discovered as a group.
I'll barge in here. One of the things we did when we went through each of these levels, I think you can see my screen, is we came up with categories of management instructional strategies through equity, inclusion, and the teachers as leaders. And then we went through these and coded them as any of that. And what appears to us is that at level 2, there's a lot that deals with management and instructional strategies on a surface level. And then when we rolled into level 3, instructional strategies were still strong, but really knowing your students in equity and inclusion. And I'll flip it over to level 6, where we were kind of jumping to this idea that teachers as leaders came out pretty clear to us on a level 6 as far as what we were doing. But that's what I have to share from level 2. Andrew or Gregory, anything to add?
Only, just as we were going through the different levels, we, noticed, the verb change, which again, in, I think the first group, our larger buckets, we could see how certain things fell into the buckets that we designed as you moved up the level from just knowing the basics of teaching to now you're not only impacting the students that you teach, but you're impacting the teachers and the students that they teach as well.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Group 2. I really appreciate you guys giving us that overview. And yeah, it's good to see that we're starting to kind of move to that place where we're clearly seeing these competencies and skills that we're coming up with, that they not only fall into the buckets, but they're clearly aligning with kind of that pathway and progression that we would see from a level 2 to a level 6 teacher. So it's great to hear that you saw that in the work that you did today. Group 3, could someone share out from your group, please?
This is Megan. I'll share out for us. We created a few categories in our Group 3 worksheet, and then each of us individually took a level and took those standards from last month's sheet and pasted them into the appropriate category. So we were able to put all of the standards into our new sheet. But our main takeaways, I think, are that after doing that and sort of seeing them across categories and levels, we noticed that there's a lot of standards that don't seem to be applied appropriately across every level. Some of them are missing, and whether they're missing from the beginning or from the end or even from the middle. And that the standards all kind of need to be not only sorted so that they're easier to read through, but also probably some of them need to be reworded to be a bit more clear and take out some repetition that are kind of within the standards from last month's list. Group, anything else?
You nailed it, Megan. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan. Yeah, I think that's something that I'm sure everyone, as they kind of look through the list, realizes that we definitely have some gaps. We have some overlap. There's some wordiness. There's definitely some clarification that's going to need to come, and some rewording and reworking and reorganizing. And so I'm really glad that you highlighted that here in the whole group, so that we are remembering that that's going to be some of the work that will happen as we start to move forward in producing our final recommendations that we'll give to Pepsi. So thank you so much, Group 3. And then Group 4. Do we have someone from Group 4 who could please unmute and give us a little overview of what you guys did?
Hi, this is Melissa. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sick, so I'm gonna try to talk through this without coughing. We basically started with level 2 and had a conversation about how even though level 2 was aware, there were still a few competencies that seemed like it needed a slightly higher level of competency than just awareness. Like, for example, the teacher knows, the teacher provides meaningful learning activities that are aligned to the requisite standards and curriculum. Like that's something that actually needs to be demonstrated. It can't just be like the teacher's aware of what the standards of curriculum are, right? That it needs to actually be connecting activities to the standards and curriculum. And so there were like a few elements like that where we were working on sort of the language of the competency to sort of be the right level, because we sort of talked about how maybe aware is almost like too light touch for level 2 to be, because level 2 is actually like leading their own classroom, that maybe like knows how to do something, but maybe doesn't always do it is maybe the sort of like level in between awareness and demonstrating. It's sort of like knowledge. And that there might be some that are actually more of a demonstrate level than an aware level in level 2. And then we found that even though we had quite a few categories like classroom management and like assessment, design, and implementation, that almost all of the competencies that we had to review from previously fell in the lesson design and delivery or student and family relationships buckets. And so that just made us, we actually like didn't get to have this conversation, but it made me wonder whether we needed to add some competencies on some of those other pieces for level like 2 teachers, for example. Like classroom management seems like a key area, but it wasn't something that really came out. And please feel free to add anything, Jill or Maya.
You did great. Nothing to add.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Group 4. And yeah, Melissa, I would definitely agree. Like, I know we had a conversation in our group about, talking about special needs students and IEPs and 504s. And at level 2, you maybe can be aware of multiple strategies to modify. But if you are not doing the accommodations that are required by law for that student, it's not okay to just say, well, I was aware they had an IEP or a 504. As a level 2 teacher, you would have to be able to demonstrate that you can modify instruction and meet their accommodations. And so definitely, I think that that's a really good point that this work brought up, that we identified that there's going to be some language changes for some of those where, like, for level 2, some things we would be wanting a teacher to be aware of as they're learning, but that there are other things that they will clearly need to demonstrate as a teacher of record in a classroom by themselves. And so I'm really glad that you brought that up. And I'm also really glad that you guys brought up the idea that, right now we're very heavy on the lesson design and in the family engagement parts of level 2, and is there maybe needs to be some additional competencies added at that level 2 level to really help like develop a teacher as a level 2 teacher so that they're prepared to become a level 3 and then a level 4 teacher and then hopefully move on to level 5 and level 6. So thank you all very much. Was there anything that anyone wanted to bring to the whole group that didn't get mentioned in the quick share outs there, or any other aha moments or light bulb moments that those discussions brought up for anyone?
Good morning, this is Patricia. I think this is kind of obvious, but important. So I wanted to share that the categories are different from group to group, and the competencies that we were looking at from the last time we met are different. So I think there's a lot of work to do to pull it together from the different group looks. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So the competencies were actually pretty much the same. There were some groups that had done a little bit of change to the competencies, but those were the competencies that I had kind of pulled together and curated from all the other discussions we had in months prior that we looked at last month. So they may have been placed on different levels, but most, if people move them around, but for the most part, most of the groups had nearly the same competencies. There may have been some additional notes along the side or a few like grammar changes or word selection changes, but for the most part, you're all working with the same competencies. But there are lots of different groups probably that people came up with, and part of the reason why I wanted to design it that way was to get the creativity of what are all the different ideas. And so, maybe there was an idea that comes out of this that if we had done it in whole group would have never even come up, but because you were in a group of 3 or 4, really gave you the opportunity to have those discussions and bring up some of those ideas that maybe are kind of outside the box and something we haven't considered before. But I completely agree, Patricia, there is a lot of work that will need to be done because right now it's still a fairly disorganized kind of group of competencies and skills. And I think each meeting we're moving more and more toward becoming more organized, but it is definitely going to take a lot of work on the back end to make sure we have captured everything in the way that clearly articulates what our subcommittee wants to convey and communicate to Pepsi and then on to the state board. But yes, thank you so much. I definitely agree. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. Does anybody else have anything they want to share out? Okay, well, we do still have 40 minutes remaining. So we have one of 2 options here. We could either go back into the small groups and do some more work on the small group matrices, if you would like to do that. Or if you guys are feeling pretty good about where you are right now and maybe want to either email me some additional ideas or continue working, you still will have access to those Google Documents, so you are welcome to continue working on those. Like if something, you think of something or you want to do something on work and add something or remove something or move something around, you'd be more than welcome to continue doing that. But we could end the meeting at this point if you guys are ready to do that, or we are able to go back into small groups. So Kim, I'll leave it to your discretion.
I think it's up to the group. I don't want to make that call, so how the group feels. How
about if you, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot here, but I think this would be the easiest way to capture everybody, what everybody would like to do. If you would like to go back into small groups and continue working on the competencies and kind of articulating where you think they fall, and what bucket or category they would fall into, if you can just do the raised hand icon with your name. Okay, and Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw one hand go up. Did I miss anybody's?
I see two. I saw two. That's it.
Okay, two. Okay. So for the two people who wanted to continue working, I would be happy to either stay on with you for a little bit if you wanted to do that, or if you want to work on it independently, and add some more, we could do that as well. But it looks like for most people, I know it's been a long couple of months here of trying to get all this work done. And so if I'm able to give you back 26 or 36 minutes of your day, I would love to be able to do that. So if that sounds good, if you can just give me a clapping emoji. All right, looks like I've got a lot of clapping emojis. Very cool. Okay, all right. So at this point, then we will go ahead and end the meeting. So if I could please get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Gregory Monroe, so moved.
Thank you. And if I get someone to second.
Nancy Rupert, second.
Great, thank you, Nancy. And if there, all those who are in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so with that, we have concluded our meeting. Thank you all so much for your input and work today. I will be working on those documents and sending them out to you so you can kind of like take a look and see kind of how are things pulling together. So I can, if you want to continue working on those, you're more than welcome to continue adding to those documents. And as a reminder, we do have a meeting in December, but that December meeting will not be subcommittee work like we've been doing. It will be a overview of microcredentials and how they may fit into the Human Capital Roundtable's vision for the new licensure system. And with that, I thank you all so much for being here today, and I hope you have a great rest of the day and enjoy your week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Take care.
Yeah.